Hello and welcome back to Aging Well, a production of Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. My name is Nathan Lamb, and with me here today is Norah al-Wetaid, who is our awesome expert on elder abuse and protective services. So yes, let's get back to that. Can you tell me a little bit about protective services at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services and what you do?
Yeah, definitely. So every state actually has a federal mandate to have some sort of elder protective services program. It oversees people age 60 and over that are at some kind of risk. We kind of discuss the different kinds of elder abuse. So we respond, we try to alleviate or prevent any kind of harm to an elder.
So you provide elder protective services for Somerville and Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
Where do a lot of the reports come from? Are these people in the community? Are these family members? Where do you get a fair volume of reports, and where do they come from?
We do get a lot of reports. I believe in 2015 we got something around 420, I believe. So a lot of reports. Many are providers, so medical providers in some capacity, social workers, police, but we also get a lot of calls from family members, neighbors, EMTs. Anybody can call us, literally anybody. Absolutely. We welcome calls from anybody.
And when somebody calls and reports, their identity is kept confidential?
Exactly. We can't reveal the name of the reporter. We actually don't confirm or deny who the reporter is, so they can keep guessing, and we'll never say it.
And so
it's protected by law.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to mention.
No, that's important to know.
Is.
So one thing that I do want to ask about is it's protective services, but it's not preventative services. So do you get a fair amount of cases where you have to tell people that, like, what sort of circumstances can you help, and then which ones can you not?
So reports that are called in to us, if they don't fall under our criteria, they'd be screened out, but we would always offer some kind of supportive services. So that would be circumstances where maybe somebody calls and they're concerned about an elder, that something could happen but hasn't happened yet. Like they could fall, they could potentially not pay their bills, they could miss their medical appointments, they maybe are missing their medications, but there's no evidence of it. So we ask, when people do call, we ask a lot of questions to try to determine if there is evidence or enough evidence to kind of support that something is happening.
Mm-hmm. And once the person has made the call and the screening process begins, where do things go from there?
If it's screened in, it would be assigned to a worker like myself. There's 5 of us. We respond to the elder. So first we would make contact with the reporter. So somebody that called us, we'd let them know that the case is assigned to us. So I'd say it's assigned to Nora, and that I'm going to make contact with the elder, sort of give an idea of what we're going to do. So after that person, the next contact is with the elder. We either call in advance to try to schedule something, but oftentimes we'll go unannounced so that they can't refuse us. Mm-hmm. We're generally pretty successful in getting in.
And once you have met with the elder, how does that process go? Are you making an assessment while you're meeting with them for in those terms?
Yeah, exactly. So when we get with the elder, my approach often is to say, I introduce myself. I'm Nora with Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. I'm a social worker. I happen to work in the Department of Protective Services, and we respond to concerns about elders that are at some kind of risk. And my job is to come see how you're doing and how I can help. That's how I introduce it.
How is that usually received? Do 99% say no, there's no problem?
I would say maybe a lot of people will at least talk with us, mm-hmm. Engage in a conversation. Some people get insulted that we're out there. It's generally the older, like 90 plus, that are more insulted that we're there. I don't think that they're familiar with protective services or even Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. Mm.
And so you have the meeting with the elder, then what happens from there?
So during the meeting, we try to assess their capacity. So we would talk with them about the concern. Sometimes we see what their opinion is on it. Some people will acknowledge that this issue is happening and say, I know it's kind of risky, but I'm okay with it. We would talk about what would happen if they do take action to prevent whatever the abuse is. If they don't take action, what would happen? So we try to make sure that they understand what the consequences are if they don't do something, or the benefits if they do work with us. If they consent to work with us, though, we try to talk with as many people as they're comfortable with us talking to. So it'd be doctors, sometimes children, building managers, anybody that knows the elder well, case managers at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services, and try to get a good idea of what's going on in the elder's life.
Mm-hmm. So there's the assessment and understanding, and then there actually comes the action after that of the interventions. And how do those generally play out? Do you have some guiding principles on how you try and approach the interventions?
Yeah, so if it's if we do our investigation and we determine that there's more evidence than not that something happened, so more evidence than not that an elder's being evicted, or they're not taking their medications, not making medical appointments, the list could go on, we work with the elder to develop some kind of plan to prevent it from happening in the future. And it is really a collaborative process. We don't do things and implement them without their permission. So it's very collaborative, and that's like a very strong, I don't know the word I'm looking for.
Principle?
Principle,
guiding principle for it? And there's also an element of assessing their capacity to make decisions. How important is that to what you do?
That's a major part of our job, is assessing that. There's certain principles that Protective Services operates by, and one of them is the right to self-determination. So if an elder has the capacity to make decisions for themselves, they understand the consequences, they have the right to make decisions for their life, whether that's good decisions or not so good decisions. Oftentimes, if they're making poor decisions, it's providers, myself, case managers, medical providers, anybody you can think of. We all think maybe they could make better choices, but because they have the ability to make decisions for themselves, we have to respect their right. And we do. And oftentimes, that can also be a reason that Protective Services gets involved, is that we advocate for people's rights and their right to make decisions for themselves. So sometimes we're on the end where we're telling medical providers that we're on the elder side and we want to respect their wishes as much as possible.
And when it comes to actually implementing the interventions, are there any guiding principles such as making them unobtrusive, or how does that usually unfold when you put together this plan for how to address things?
We always try to do the least restrictive possible. So we try to keep an elder where they want to be. If they want to be home, we would keep them there if we could. And if they want to go to a maybe more structured environment, but not quite nursing home, there's assisted living, there's other options. Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services is able to provide a lot of support for elders in their home. We even have elders that require nursing home care, and they're able to stay home. 24-hour care, they can stay there, and it's actually quite wonderful.
The home care. Absolutely, helping people live in the setting of their choice.
Exactly.
Very big. Or possibly getting in touch with the authorities if appropriate. Does that happen from time to time?
Yeah, so there are certain circumstances where we might have to report to the district attorney. We do talk with an elder in advance about that. So serious physical abuse, or most physical abuse, if it's serious emotional abuse or sexual abuse, it is reported to the district attorney. Sometimes they get involved, sometimes they don't. Sometimes if an elder lacks capacity and is at risk, maybe a caregiver is not doing what they're supposed to, then we have to go to court. It's pretty rare. We'll go for guardianship on rare occasions. We try to avoid that as much as possible.
Absolutely. Well, I think that covers it pretty well. You know, you've sort of talked around a couple of the misconceptions that people have, and that's something that we're going to take up in our next segment. So in a few minutes, we'll be back for segment 3.
Great.